So in this video, I'm going to cover a few topics that are coming up or on my mind. For those of you who follow me on Facebook, you may have noticed me talking about this a few times. And I'm just going to jump right in. I want to talk about Saturn Retrograde and how this is really bringing about a deeper healing and a deeper releasing, and it's really forcing us to pick a timeline, guys. Like, that's what's coming through. Like, we're being forced to pick a timeline. A lot of us spiritual people who are vibing high have been teetering or sort of phasing in and out of timelines. And it's not that we're not supposed to expand or, become aware or phase in and out of our multidimensionality. But I mean in the sense that we have two major timelines that are splitting on Earth and have been splitting for a while, but this chasm is deepening. We have the timeline of what many would call the quote-unquote 3D Earth timeline of fear and oppression, tyranny, programming, sort of this regime of hive mind, but not in a way that promotes the upward soul evolution on the spiral. And then we have the timeline, which is aligned to ascension up the spiral, not operating out of the model of fear and fear of lack, fear of having, fear of not getting enough, fear of survival, not operating on that paradigm, but transcending it and understanding that the law of alignment allows us to attract what is meant for us at a deep frequency and vibrational level. And I'm not trying to go into some, woo-woo like, how a lot of people, you create your own reality just by thinking positive. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the vibration that we are on at a soul level, and based on the inner work that we've done down here, will put us on the timeline that, makes sense for that vibration, that aligns to that vibration. So our choices and our energy level is what's going to land us in one or the other. If you're not putting in the work, see, and this is the thing too, and I feel like there's like a warning here. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't a fear thing, by the way. This is a warning to say, because there's no such thing as the right choice or the wrong choice, all right? But I know that most of the people that are going to be listening to this are going to want to be on the ascension spiral, not the descension spiral. Our souls ascend and descend the spiral times. In other words, alpha and omega, right? We're constantly ascending and descending. But what are you wanting to do at a soul level now? Okay? So it's not about right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. There's the soul's journey. Okay? And, it does affect other souls on that journey because we are a collective contained within the all. But it's not about good or evil or right or wrong. But it's still about choice and sovereignty. So where are you wanting to go? Are you on the descent or are you on the ascent? Are you trying to ascend to higher dimensions, higher vibrations, or are you wanting to descend or remain on the vibrational plane that, everything is sort of headed in right now if you're part of that timeline? It's basically the timeline that a lot of the so-called elite are trying to create. They're trying to pull people into. They want the collective to stay at a certain vibration. They don't want them to awaken. They want them to mindlessly, and passively consume these programs. Okay? And just become these walking meat suit portals, basically. So what I'm basically saying is, are you wanting to activate your sovereignty or in your Godhead? Or are you wanting to basically become at the current human genome, the current human state of evolution? Or do you want to ascend past that? Because the age of Aquarius has 2 timelines, people, just so you know. It has the timeline where the collective expands, becomes, simultaneously, each unique soul is able to express itself, sovereignly, but also at the same time, honor the sense of collective and interconnectedness. That particular timeline is a timeline of ascension. That's where we start really activating our higher DNA codes. That's where we heal our ancestral traumas and generational curses. So this is really a merging of the light and shadow. It's not what people think. In fact, it's not like a splitting of duality or polarity between shadow and light. It has nothing to do with that. In fact, the more shadow work you are doing, at least in my opinion, the easier it is for you to activate at a higher dimensional level. Because you can bypass it, sure. You can, and I know healers that have done it. But as far as, trying to perpetuate this whole, light and shadow are in opposition to each other, they're 2 sides of the same coin. Just as Earth is really a structural tension point between 2 polarities, the celestial and the infernal, order and the chaos, the creation and the destruction. So, Earth is like that tension point. It can be a playground for some of us and a prison for others. But it is that centerfold point where the action happens. This is really the place where a lot of soul evolution and growth can take place. But if you squander that and you will allow these subliminal programs designed to lower your energy get in your head, then, you've allowed other souls and no souls, okay, to make that decision for you. So what is this age of Aquarius about? It's about, a reckoning for some people. It is about an activation and awakening for other people. It is about healing and alignment for other people. And in a collective sense, it really splits into the ascent or the descent of the soul journey spiral. So what a lot of people don't know is that Aquarius was the original home of Saturn. So before Uranus was a planet that was aligned to Aquarius, it was Saturn. And so Saturn is very much making a comeback. We are leaving, that Neptunian Piscean era where everyone has a say over everyone's spirituality. You have to make your own journey. You have to journey your own labyrinth. And if you do choose to adopt the programs of other people, then that's still your sovereign choice. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but the whole point is this is about you going within to retrieve your own inner waters and pouring them without, as I've said in my other YouTube channel and on Vimeo, I believe. But you have to understand when Saturn comes to play here is time, judgment, karma, discipline, reward after you learn the lesson. If you are not correcting generational curses, if you are not correcting traumas, whether they're individual or ancestral, if you are not correcting the way programs have, taken hold within your consciousness and your DNA, if you are not correcting these things, then, what timeline are you signing on for here? If you are not, striving to heal and integrate and ascend, what timeline are you heading toward? So everyone keeps thinking, it's going to be either rainbows and flowers on one hand, and that aliens or Jesus or something are going to come back and save us, which is bullshit. Or they think that it's just going to be complete destruction, zombie apocalypse, which is also bullshit. It's going to be what your reality aligns to, but not necessarily the way you think. It's because it's based off of vibration. So whichever collective you align the most to, that's the reality you're signing on for. Because we do co-create in this world. So if you more closely align and resonate with a collective that believes that the whole world is going to end and there's nothing you do to stop it and very fatalistic, then that's a reality you're signing on for. If you believe that you have to be saved, then you are signing on for that savior program reality. And guess what? That's a loop. That is a loop. That is tied to the Piscean age. That is not supposed to be the energy of the Aquarian age. That is definitely an outdated program. I'm just going to be honest about that. It's your choice, again, like I said. Or you can choose to ascend and become sovereign and create your own reality instead of falling into these fear-based traps or these clap traps. That's what this is about. Owning your shit, healing your shit, integrating your shit, activating your shit, and ascending your shit. In a nutshell. And it's about understanding your soul journey and your soul contract that you gave yourself before you came here. All of those planetary placements, your life path number, all of that shit is a spirit science. If you're not paying attention to it, if you're not using it to navigate, and if you're not able to read your own akashic records and find out what you are here to do, like what you want to do for yourself, which, by the way, you can annul or cancel contracts. I've talked about that in videos, specifically on my Patreon where I teach people how to do it. You can cancel contracts. You are not free from the consequences of that. So if you made an agreement or pact with another being, you can't necessarily control the outcome, of how it's going to affect them or how they may react to that. But you most certainly have the power to do that. And you have the power and the right to know why you're here. You've just, been given the okie doke by a lot of these spiritual communities and told to follow suit instead of going into your own records and looking at things and finding out, well, what are you here to do as a soul? It doesn't matter what Tom, Dick, Harry, Jennifer, Crystal, and Karen are here for. What are you here for? Because it may not be the same thing. More than likely it isn't. Don't let other people dictate to you what your path is. You have to decide. Okay? So that's basically what I'm getting at in a nutshell. I hope that this video was helpful. Take it resonates, leave the rest. Create your own programs, delete the programs, and overwrite the programs that don't serve you. Do the inner work, do the shadow work, the trauma work. Activate your DNA, activate your light bodies, heal your shadow bodies, raise their vibes. Do the work. Do what you're here to do in the way you're here to do it. Align to the path that works for you. Align to, the energy current that works for you. And by the way, if you're not feeling, the ascent, if you're supposed to be on the descent, which again, there's no right or wrong, that's fine too. But I wanted to let y'all know the situation because most of the people that listen to my work or follow me are trying to be on the ascent. So in that case, I'm trying to give some tips and some advice. Again, not dictating what you as a soul should do. That is your choice. All right? So stay tuned for future videos. Take care and shalom.